Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am back with another speed build, and we're creating something a little bit more like occult inspired, supernatural. We are creating a wizard tower today. This actually came to be because when we first got the Book Nook kit, I don't remember if it was in my overview or in a speed build I did, but I said that the stack of books, how you can kind of layer them up and make them really tall, made me think of a wizard or doing some sort of wizard tower. I think that's partially because there's stacks of books like that by default right outside of Merlin's little home in Disney Dreamlight Valley. But either way, I mentioned it and a bunch of y'all were like, oh my gosh, please build a wizard tower in The Sims. So that's what we're doing here today. If you don't know what I mean, it's basically just supposed to look like a sort of castle or thin tower that looks a little bit magical, and I wanted it to be for a wizard. So in The Sims, we don't have wizards technically. There's not witches and wizards. There's spellcasters, so it's supposed to be for a spellcaster, but I think it comes out really cute in the end. I am building in the world of Windenburg. This is on the Cottage Am See lot. You can see at the top of the screen, and it's 20 by 20 lot and comes in at 72,331 simoleons. So it's not exactly cheap, but I think it looks so cute and I am so excited to share it. I've been having a blast with this the last couple of days. I could not stop building and I was just like smiling ear to ear on how this was coming out. I just think it looks so fun. It does take me a while to figure out the roofing and the shape. As you can see here, we're almost 2 minutes in and I have like 2 boxes and 2 roofs. So it's a process, but I hope you will enjoy watching it nonetheless. And if you would like to download it, it will be available in the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find that under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information is in the description down below as well. So I really wanted this to be a fun shape, so I ended up having this diagonal portion coming out. And unfortunately, the inside of this home, especially because I used a lot of medium wall height in here, there wasn't really space for steps. So I opted to use ladders instead. Another thing you could probably use is the portals from Realm of Magic, which I guess would be more magical anyway, but they take up more space. I'm not entirely sure if they work scaled down or not, but I decided to use ladders in here, which I thought worked just fine, or you could just have your Sims teleport. I want to say there's an ability with high-level spellcasters that they can probably like teleport or something anyway, or maybe that's vampires. Let me know if you know, because I don't know off the top of my head. I was just going off pure vibes here and trying to make something that I thought looked really cool. So one thing I really struggled with was I wanted it to be bigger on the top, because that tends to be the trend if you look up like the idea of a wizard tower. It's kind of sprawling and it like windy and goes up to a bigger top portion, has a bunch of little bump outs and lots of round portions. I did attempt to start by making this a round build and it just really wasn't working. So I was like, okay, it has to be square and we can have some like rounded or diagonal portions coming off of it. And also with the proportions, it just looked really weird when I made it bigger on top. So instead, I have like a bigger balcony up top and the shape changes quite a few times. I end up having another bump out. I changed the windows. It's just kind of fiddling with it and seeing what works as we go. And I think it's really cool to watch this back and see how it came together slowly. A lot of experimentation. These are some of my favorite builds. I've been really enjoying things like this lately. So if you have any ideas, keep them coming. I'm totally down to do some more things like this. I'm trying to think what I have on my list of things I'd like to do. There's probably not going to be too many builds between now and when Horse Ranch comes out, just because I am kind of like busy. I'm going to be out of town next week when the pack comes out, which is really unfortunate. So there's going to be a little bit of a lack of uploads, but I do have a couple of things to share with you, but this was the one I was most excited for. So yeah, if you've built anything like this, please let me know. I would love to see them. I've been getting a lot more requests to do sort of like occult builds. I know recently I saw a couple of people asking me to rebuild the school from Realm of Magic, and I actually did that when it first came out. I really like that build. It's huge. I will try to remember to link that in the description down below or in the card up top if you'd like to see it. I think that was a really fun one, and honestly, I've said before, I don't care about if we get another occult or not, because I know a lot of people want fairies, but doing this made me really want to do some more magical builds for like different occults. So I would be totally down if they brought us fairies this year. Maybe later this year we'll get like a fairies game pack. That could be kind of cool. But in the meantime, we're getting horses, which should be a fun time. I'm excited to build in that world. It does look really pretty because I really do enjoy Strangerville, and this looks to be like a more toned down version of Strangerville with like more greenery and less bright orange. And it just looks really pretty. And I like to have more like lots to build on, more worlds to build in. And I don't know if they confirmed how many lots there are, but it looks like it's not like a tiny world, which is nice because I think they said they had 4 different simmers build for the world, and I think they each built 3 lots. So that's already 12. So hopefully that's accurate and those numbers weren't wrong and we have at least 12 lots to work off of. I'm quite excited about it. Let me know what horse builds you'd like to see as well. But anyway, the shape is finally starting to come together here. We were on the outside of this build for quite a long time, but you can see I had this bump out in the front now, and this is when I'm starting to like really love how this is looking. And from the beginning, I knew I wanted blue roofs. So we have a couple of blue roofs in this game, but it did take me a while to just choose which one because I feel like I wanted something that was a little bit of a deeper blue, but I didn't like the texture on the other one. So I opted for this one in the end. But I think it looks really nice. It really pops against the background with the red trees, which I was so glad that I added. Those are just off lot as well. So that's why I grabbed them to like incorporate into this a lot to make it look more realistic. And the landscaping here, I love how overgrown I made it look, and having all of the lavender and some of those more magical mushrooms that came with Realm of Magic. I just think it is so pretty. I did build this in Windenburg, but you could probably put this in the world of Glimmerbrook as well, and it would work just fine. Same thing with, oh goodness, is it Moonwood Mill? The one, the world that came with werewolves? I feel like it could work in a lot of different ones. But anyway, this is a 4-floor house. And on the first floor, it's kind of like an office space. I really wanted what I associated with this build to be immediate. Like when you walked in, like the whole reason behind it was stacks of books. That's how this whole build started, was me liking the stacks of books. So I really wanted you to walk in and have like a desk and books and like a nice big bookcase, stacks of books, comfy chairs, all of that. And I brought in more of that really beautiful blue color in here that I really wanted to represent because it's what I associate with wizards. I guess because of the hat with the stars on it, which, you know, we're just coming back to Merlin and all of this. But I also got this really beautiful gold table over here, and I put a candelabra on that. I was originally going to put a lamp from Vampires on there, but I grabbed the candelabra by accident, and I really liked how it looked, but I added that lamp over here instead. And on the desk, I added some more books, and I actually ended up adding a computer. It's the one that looks kind of like a typewriter, just because I thought it would be nice to have that as a functional item, and it's the closest thing we have to a typewriter. It's still a fully functional computer, but I thought it looked nice. I also added plenty of plants in here. I thought this hanging plant would look beautiful here, and I used these curtains from Realm of Magic absolutely everywhere. There's a very strong blue theme in here. I have a couple of other colors, but that's the primary one. And then I'm just getting a little stool and a couple of decorations. I believe I got some from Werewolves, including this like sundial, I think it is. I just thought it was a fun item to have in here, and I was really enjoying trying to figure out what things to include. So over here ends up being, I believe, a chess table. I didn't decide to put a table and chairs in here because we're on a library level. So I figured having a chess table would be a nice activity for your sim to enjoy. Upstairs, though, where we have a kitchen, there's also a little balcony that comes off of that area, and that is where I put a table and 2 chairs. So if your sim wants to sit down at a chair or at a table instead of on a couch, there is a place for them to do that when they are eating. But just down here, just adding another mirror by the front door. I end up adding that up in the bedroom space as well. I just think it's a really pretty mirror. I've been using it a lot, and it fills in the space quite nicely because this is such an awkward shape, and the fact that it's 4 rooms on 4 different floors. Well, I guess it's 5 rooms because there's also a separate bathroom, which I believe is on the same floor as the kitchen. So it's on the 2nd floor. I also added this little cabinet by the front door, which has like all sorts of like little potion bottles and stuff in it. That's from Realm of Magic. I thought it was beautiful. I just really like the vibes of the inside of this and the outside. I'm really proud of this build. So I hope you all like it as much as I do, because I've just been so happy to share this, and it was just so fun to create. So this is going to be that kitchen space and bathroom. I was really indecisive with these counters. I changed the colors and the layout of them so many different times. I'm pretty sure they come back to be this swatch in the end, though, because they match the floor better and the vibes of downstairs, but I changed them to white at some point because it was bothering me that the metal tones of the fridge and the sink and stuff like that weren't matching. So you'll see like all of a sudden the one I pick has gold because it matches the gold I put elsewhere. And then I eventually go back to this because I think it looks so much better. But we're going to fiddle around with it now. I was like, oh yeah, these blue, it looks so pretty. So then I tried to change it to the white ones and I just didn't think they looked nice. But I did really like that tile in the kitchen. That is from Werewolves. It's like a rundown linoleum that's peeling up, or maybe it's not a linoleum. Maybe it is a tile, but regardless, it's like old and tattered. And I just thought it looked so nice. And it kind of made sense for things to be a little bit worn down in this space. It's like a tall tower in the middle of the woods. So that's what I opted for. And then I'm just getting a place to sit down, another cabinet of various items for this sim to use for their like spells and stuff. And I got a seat over here as well. And then you can see where the ladder is to go up to the next level. It's a pretty simple floor. We're going to be getting a rug over here, and then I'm going to clutter up the kitchen as well because I imagine this wizard just had stuff everywhere. I wanted to still make sure it was functional, so it's not like too messy, but there's a lot of clutter downstairs, all the piles of books. There's tons of stuff on the counters up here. I'm excited to show you. Of course, I added more books here because I had to. They just scream wizard to me, and I don't know why. Let me know if you agree, if that's something you think of as well. Regardless, I'm happy that I thought that because it inspired this build, and I really like it. But I also added some of these base game books that are like an unlockable with the really long cheat, ignore gameplay unlocks entitlement. So I thought those would look nice here, as well as some more plants. And we got some potion bottles as well. There's a bunch of different like potions you can brew with the cauldron from Realm of Magic. So I just placed some of those around as decoration on the counter as well as on top of the books. I believe there's some that I put on top of the fridge as well. I also scaled up some ingredients to put on the stove. I just wanted this space to look like it was actively in use. You could definitely delete some of those items if they are making it so you can't use the stove, because they very much might be, but I was just having fun decorating. So it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Everything else is fine. And I kept an empty counter, the one that I just put the cutting boards on, because technically those are on the wall, not on the counter, so it doesn't affect the counter being functional. I also decided to put a little runner rug in here. I just like adding those. I think they look nice, and it brings in more of that really rich blue that I'm using throughout the entire space. And then I also got an apron hanging on the wall over here, and then I should be cluttering up the top of the fridge, but first I grabbed this mini cauldron. It's just a decorative one from the Spooky Day stuff pack, but I just think it looks nice as a decoration in spaces like this, so I decided to put it there. And actually on the top floor, we're going to have a functional cauldron, one of those massive ones that came with Realm of Magic. I just thought it would make sense to have one of those here. And I ended up using the one that has all the crystals underneath it and kind of matches the fridge that I used because it just felt more wizardy to me. I typically use the other one just because it looks more regular. And for some reason I enjoy that, but I was going all out with this build. So I thought that made more sense, but this is the bathroom. Nothing too exciting in here. I did use the shower from Realm of Magic though, with all the swirly gold patterns on it. I thought it was really pretty. And then this is going to be the bedroom space. And this room changes a lot too, because it was looking a little bit too, I don't know, centered and not as cluttered as the rest. So I end up moving things around, and the bed changes swatches a few different times and ends up being kind of like crooked in the room with like books shoved all around it. And ultimately, I really like this room. It just took me a while to get there. So at first, I'm using this bed that has this quilt on it, and it just felt a little bit too busy. I believe I changed it back to the one that's just got a plain blue quilt. And I also used two different bookcases in here. This one from the Werewolves pack, which I think looks really nice, as well as this base game one that has some like really old books on it. So you can see I'm now rearranging this stuff to kind of shove this bed over in the corner, and I end up having like a box of books over on the other side of the bed. Just books absolutely everywhere for the sim, and I think it looks really nice. I also added some paintings up above the bed of various like flowers or ingredients. Those are from Werewolves, but I just thought all of that made a lot of sense for this sim, and I think I got a little stereo or a little like record player up on the shelf as well. Just rearranging that or placing it better with Tool because it was floating. And then we're just going to continue to clutter up the space, adding some more books. I get some stacks of them over here, and I believe we get a chair as well. I want to say I got a dining chair from Realm of Magic. I think I get the one that I put at the desk downstairs just because it has a taller presence and brings in that beautiful blue color. So I quite liked that. And then I get some decorations up above the bookcase. This mirror is from the movie Hangout pack, and I think it is so pretty. That's a really like underrated stuff pack in my opinion. But here's that mirror I had mentioned, and I also got some of these trunks from Werewolves as well as some plants. Just trying to fill in this little corner. There are some plants clipping through the wall. I can't remember if I fixed those before I finished this build, but they don't bother me too much, but those might be there if you download this build. And then just getting a mirror, and I thought this portrait could be like the wizard and his significant other. But anyway, up on the top floor now, I have this beautiful blue cauldron, getting some more of these curtains. I love the lighting that I put in here. I believe it's on a couple of the other floors as well. That one, I want to say it's from the paranormal stuff pack. So pretty. I love that stuff pack. And we just get like some bookcases. I believe I get a flower arranging table up there as well and a place to sit. Just trying to rearrange it in a way that makes sense and have a couple of different functional items. I just thought like if they were gardening and getting things for their potions, it might be fun to make some flower arrangements as well. I thought that was a really cute idea. So that is what I opted to do up here, getting another of that same hanging plant. It's my favorite one in the game. It's so beautiful. I believe that one's from Blooming Rooms kit. It's just such a nice plant. I'm glad we got a plant kit. I also added some more like herbs and spices on the walls. We have some more stuff growing over here. I decided to get this little chalkboard because it has some crystals on it and that just felt appropriate for the space. And then what did we put on the wall over here? I honestly don't remember. I just kept grabbing so many different items and trying to decorate. Oh, I got some more like flowers and stones and stuff. It just kind of felt appropriate, and it's an item I don't use very often, so I thought it looked nice over here. And I used a couple of these wreaths as well, inside and out, and those herbs are actually from Journey to Batu. So they're like alien looking plants, but I thought that made sense for this build, so I was happy with it. Anyway, we should be heading outside now onto our little balcony space. Out here, I believe I end up having like a place to sit. Do I add another chess table or just like a table and chairs? I'm not sure. I do add a couple of planters out here with a decorative plant behind them. I also end up having a vertical planter closer to the front of the build. Oh, maybe I don't add a table and chairs. I did add a telescope though, which I thought was so fun. So your sim can come up here and stargaze. Oh yeah, I did add a chess table. So you have 2 chess tables in this build. It's definitely something you can swap out if you prefer something else, maybe like Don't Wake the Llama or something. But imagine dropping those pieces from all the way up here. That would be bad. There actually ends up being a table and chairs up here as well. I just wanted to fill in the space and have things for your Sims to do. And for some reason, a lounger felt kind of weird to put up here. So I ended up having another table and chairs, which is going to be towards the front here. And that's also where the vertical planter is going to go. And I end up using this really pretty rug from Realm of Magic with all the moon phases on it. I think it is so nice. I really like the rugs from that pack, but for some reason I don't use them that often. And seeing these now, I'm kind of mad at myself that I forgot that they existed when I was doing my Whimsy Goth apartment recently, but that's okay. I got to use them now, and I think it looks so nice. I'm just going to add some candles on this table and on the table that's on this little balcony down here. And then I believe we are just finishing up some landscaping, making sure everything's nice and full and that I'm happy with it. And then we should be heading on into screenshots. I really hope you enjoyed this build because I had a blast with this and I'm so proud of it. Definitely let me know what you think of this in the comments down below. Make sure to give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more and click that bell to be notified when I upload. Thanks for watching and enjoy the screenshots. Bye everyone.